All right, welcome back. There is growing concern that the Food and Drug Administration completely botched the vaccine approval process for kids. For the first time, the FDA is also allowing the public to see Pfizer's vaccine data. In the 55,000 pages of documents that have been released, Pfizer admits the vaccine did not provide expected immunity when given to young kids ages 5 to 12. Also, the data includes a list of over 1,200 side effects. It's really hard to really understand what all this means. So many documents are out there right now. The Children's Health Defense Group, which is backed by Robert Kennedy Jr., called the findings a bombshell and said this should put an immediate end to the Pfizer vaccine.
Well, joining us now to discuss this is Dr. Frank Contessessa, an internist with Northwell Health. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Frank.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, so a lot of parents hear this. They may be alarmed, the effects of the vaccine, adverse ones. And also, you know, Pfizer had admitted that the vaccine didn't provide the expected immunity when used in children 5 to 12. Where do you come down on this when it pertains to healthy kids out there?
Well, I think healthy kids, you know, you really have to look at the risk versus benefit for this. You know, COVID is such a low risk to healthy kids that to give a vaccine that's looking like it's a little bit more risky than anybody let on, the benefit does not seem to outweigh the risk. You know, it's actually almost 1,300 potential side effects that the Pfizer documents show. And, you know, it makes me think of the pharmaceutical commercials that you see on TV. And at the end of each commercial is a almost comically long list of potential side effects, you know, may cause a headache and a heart attack, potentially death. And it makes people nervous to even take a routine drug. Now, we're all part of what's sort of a large experiment with these vaccines because you're supposed to give informed consent whenever you do a research study. I don't think any of us really got this information. And the scary part is Pfizer and the FDA knew these things. These 1,300 side effects came from documents that were presented by Pfizer to the FDA in order to get their approval. So they knew about this stuff, but they didn't tell any of us about it when they encouraged us to all rush out and get this vaccine, that it was, you know, life or death situation. We all had to rush out and get it. They didn't really give us informed consent. And that's really concerning to me. You know, even as a parent, I've taken my kids for vaccines at the pediatrician, routine, you know, childhood vaccines, and you walk out with a stack of papers showing the potential side effects that you can expect to potentially find.
Definitely.
We didn't get any of that with these vaccines.
And I think a lot of people had erred on the side of caution when it came to their kids, and probably some of them are thanking, you know, that they did, and seeing what kind of weighed out as we learned so much more now going into several years now of what began as 2 weeks to slow the spread, we all remember. And we want to ask you, Doctor, about the masking, the CDC dropping the contact tracing recommendation on top of the masking recommendations. Many people, you know, said, you know, we're willing to live with COVID now, and those blue states dropping them. A lot of people say it was not based on science, but it was based on politics because the midterms are coming and it was unfavorable. Do you think some of these mandates by the stalwarts had just disappeared overnight, it seems?
It does. It seems that the mood of the country has changed very quickly. And even the Ukraine story has driven COVID from the headlines. I'm happy to see these mandates go away, for whatever the reason. If the motivations were political, I certainly can't speak to that. Potentially, yes. But I'm glad to see them go away one way or the other. My children got to go to school. I'm from New York, and my children got to go to school last week without a mask, and they were certainly happy to do so. So I'm happy to see them go away regardless, because we're finding out more and more, and we've kind of known this for a while, that the typical masks that most people wear, they really don't do much, especially against Omicron. You know, the N95s that really professionals have to wear. And I was amused every time I would see people wearing either KN95s or N95s, they wear them incorrectly. As a physician, we have to be tested yearly to be fit for a proper N95. So I'm happy to see the mask mandates go away.
Yeah, it's a lot of theater, as we hear from a lot of people here. Doctor, we appreciate it. And we know you're in Florida. When you fly back up to New York, though, you're going to have to wear that mask on the plane.
Yeah, they still have it on the plane. That's true.
All right. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insight, Dr. Contessessa, an internist with Northwell Health. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
You bet.